Today we are taking a look into one of the most loved and hated watch collaborations of all time, the Moonswatch. Before we get started, I do want to give you a little backstory on how I came into possession of all of these watches. If you watch the channel, you may know my brother Tony from the channel Camera Fusion.
And it's the first rangefinder camera ever made. Well, this model at least.
I have been trying to get him into watches for some years now, and slowly but surely it is starting to happen. He has a Hamilton that he picked up after learning about the brand on YouTube. I then recently sold him my Omega Seamaster. Then he shows up with a G-Shock, and now all of a sudden he stumbles onto the Moonwatch. As an owner of a Speedmaster, I tried my best to steer him clear, and I even went as far as to say, don't buy that junk. But he wasn't taking no for an answer, and after days of talking about how cool he thought this watch was, he talked me into riding with him to pick one up. 10 minutes. That is all it took. 10 minutes in the Swatch store, and he had bought the Mission to Earthphase for himself, the Mission to Uranus for his wife, the Mission to Mercury for his son Cody, and he had talked me into not only buying the New Moon Snoopy for myself, but also the Mission to Mars for my son James. So I thought I would share my thoughts as we take a look at these 5 models that I have here. But first, let's talk about what makes the Moonswatch such a polarizing timepiece. Released in 2022, the Moonswatch collection is a collaboration between Swatch and Omega. The collection pays tribute to the legendary Omega Speedmaster, the first watch worn on the moon. Instead of Omega's high-end mechanical movement, the Moonswatch features a basic 4-jewel ETA quartz movement. And in place of the 316L stainless steel used by Omega, Swatch has went with a case made of bioceramic. Talk to anyone who is pro Moonswatch and they will drive home the fact that the case is not plastic. But talk to the haters, and let's be honest, we all know who the haters are. It's the Omega enthusiasts. Talk to any of them, and the first thing you will hear, that is not an Omega. That is plastic, and it is a piece of junk. And as a hardcore Omega fan myself, I must admit that I have echoed these exact words. And to be fair, it is a solid point. It is not an Omega. It's a Swatch paying tribute to Omega. To be honest, I can see both sides of this debate. I understand why an owner of Omega, someone who worked really hard, saved in preparation for the day that they would be able to reward themselves with one of their dream watches. I fully get why this person doesn't want to see an Omega logo slapped on a watch that kind of looks like a toy. I felt this way myself until I walked into the Swatch store with my brother. These watches made me smile. They feel fun. Honestly, as an Omega enthusiast, I think that's kind of cool. Swatch has found a way of making that feeling you get when you look down and see the very spirit of space exploration on your wrist more accessible for everyone. And contrary to the haters in the Omega Facebook groups, I believe that they have done it in a way that doesn't diminish the Omega brand one iota. Out the gate, I am going to get the ugly out of the way. These straps are pure trash. I understand that these watches are not luxury watches, but these things are junk. Maybe it's because I have a large wrist. I have a 7.5-inch wrist. I don't know, but these things do not wear well at all. But that is not a problem as replacement straps are readily available. I picked this one up from Amazon for about $10 so I can promote my new affiliate link, which you can find in the description. And while it is much better than the strap that comes on the Moonswatch, I would say if you can afford it, Swatch has just recently released these new rubber straps and I love them. I am not trying to sell anyone on them and there is nothing in it for me if you buy one. I am just telling you, these things are really, really nice. The rubber is soft and it sets well on the wrist. The only complaint that I have is the fact that the Velcro lifts a little at the end, and it does this with all of them. So I'm assuming that it's just part of the design. Another thing to get out of the way so I don't have to cover it on every watch is that all of these watches have a chronograph complication with a tachymeter. If you are not sure how a tachymeter works, I have previously made a video on it and I'll be sure to link that at the end of this video. Just surrender and subscribe. what are you doing? Dude, you want the channel to grow or not? I'm trying to get them to subscribe. Okay. Taking a look at my brother's pick, the Mission to Earthphase is the newest addition in the Moonswatch lineup. And unlike the standard planetary themes we see in most other models, this one gives us a look at the Earth from the moon's surface. The Earth-themed Moonphase boasts not only a moon phase complication, allowing the phase of the moon to be tracked in real time, but it also has a patented Earthphase function that represents the way that the Earth looks if you were standing on the lunar surface. Two oversized moons with white superluminova rotates within the 2 o'clock subdial, while the Earthphase rotates within the 10 o'clock subdial. And if all that wasn't cool enough, the oceans of the Earth are coated with a UV ink that emits a blue glow under a UV light. Featured in a light gray bioceramic case, the Mission to Earthphase has a grainy textured dial that Swatch says is meant to resemble the lunar surface. My thoughts are, if you just want something fun that will allow you to track the moon without spending a fortune, this, in my opinion, is a great pick. Moving on to the Mission to Uranus that Tony picked up for his wife Helen. Pastel blues have been all the rage over the last few years after the re-release of the Tiffany blue dials by Rolex and Patek. So it is no surprise to me that Swatch jumped in on the action. Say what you will, this watch stands out with the white and black just popping off of the blue. As with all the standard moon swatches, the dial is equipped with 3 subdials. The subdial at the 6 o'clock is a standard second counter, but activate the chronograph and the count is on. The tachymeter has the first 60 seconds covered, while the subdial at the 10 o'clock covers the additional minutes after that. And if you're still not finished and want to keep going, the subdial at the 2 o'clock covers the hours. Taking a look at the Mission to Mars, this one is no doubt a bold option. I personally am not a big fan, but I chose it for my son James per my brother's advice while we were at the Swatch store. I will say that I am a fan of the watch that they modeled this one after though. The Mission to Mars pays homage to the Alaska Project Speedmasters, which Omega originally designed for extreme space conditions. One of the coolest features about this model is the rocket hands on the subdials that are just like those on the Alaska Project watches. So as it turns out, James was not the biggest fan either. Trying to protect my feelings and not seem ungrateful, he pretended to like the watch, but I could tell that he didn't like it, and eventually I just told him if he didn't like it to let me know, and he ended up coming clean. So I went back and I picked up a Mission to Saturn, which I believe is the only watch in the entire lineup that has a planet on the dial. So now I have a Mission to Mars that I have already purchased and upgraded the rubber strap. I know that there are a lot of people that would love to have this watch. So instead of having it just set in my watch box, I have decided to give it away. Now, I did not mention this giveaway in the title or the description because I want it to be won by one of you that have watched up to this point because you wanted to, not because you were trying to win a free watch. To enter, all you need to do is hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment using the words Mission to Mars in a sentence. Please do not mention the giveaway. It will be nothing but a bat signal to all the scammers to come and flood the comments without actually watching the video. Next week, I will pin the winner as the top comment in this video, so make sure to come back next week to see who won. Taking a look at Cody's Mission to Mercury, this watch is probably my second favorite in the entire lineup and only falls second to the black Snoopy. For the most part, it's the exact same as all the standard models, but just comes with a metallic gray case that I just really like. Swatch boasts that all of these watches has an S etched into the center of the crystal that they call biosourced glass. And if you are unaware, Omega does this with the Speedmaster Hesalite version. You will hear a lot of people call it an Easter egg. And if your eyes are like mine, you will need magnification to see it. But if you look close at the Speedmaster, you will see the Omega logo that is etched into the crystal right in the center To me, this is very cool as it proves Swatch is paying attention to details that most people will probably never even know is there. Last but not least, we have the model that I picked up for myself, the Mission to Moonphase New Moon. First things first, this beauty is a monochrome. Just look at how that white imprint pops off of that black dial and black bezel. This and this alone would have been enough to make this watch my favorite of the collection, but Swatch had to go and pull an icon out for this model. Like the Earthphase, this watch also has a Moonphase complication, allowing the phase of the moon to be tracked in real time, but this one is a bit more special. Just take a look at the 2 o'clock subdial, and what do you see? Snoopy hanging out on a half moon. NASA has been using Snoopy as their safety mascot since the 1960s, and even have an award called the Silver Snoopy Award that is given out for outstanding achievements related to human flight safety or mission success. Omega was given the Silver Snoopy Award after the Speedmaster's chronograph became a critical tool used on the Apollo 13 mission. After an explosion on board left the crew stranded in space with limited power, and the world with the new popular phrase,
Houston, we have a problem.
The crew needed a precise engine burn of 14 seconds in order to realign the craft for re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and used the chronograph of the NASA-certified Omega Speedmaster to time it. One more cool thing about this watch, throw it under a UV light and not only does the moon and the stars glow, but a hidden quote from a Snoopy comic strip is revealed. Love them or hate them, these watches have taken the world of horology by storm. Don't quote me, but I believe there are about 21 versions of this watch available. My bet is there is something in this collection for everyone. What do you think? Which Moonswatch is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm James. This is Blue Collar Lux, and I will see you in the next one.